Hi, everybody. Welcome once again to the Vijal Institute podcast. This is your place for all the latest on what's important in the AI world. Joined as always by our founder today, Adi Burlia. Hi, Adi. How are you?
Doing well, Mark. Always a pleasure to do this. Another great week on AI and some very, very important shifts.
Thank you. And I'm the host, Mark Troy, and our job is to bring you the latest in the AI news. Before we get started, remember the Vijal Institute. This is your one-stop shop for everything AI related. So we can train your teams. Go to our website at vijal.ai or email us at outreach@vijal.ai. Always in a busy week in AI, Addy. We've got three big stories for the week. Tell me what's going on with Opus 5, the new release. It seems like we can't even keep up with how many releases Anthropic Claude is putting out. Now they've got Opus 5. Before that, we had Fable 5 and we had Mythos 5. What's going on?
Absolutely. And, let me share this out with you. This is sort of the new model that came out. And in many ways, you can see it sort of is better than Fable 5 at a bunch of different things, right? And it should be a model which is equivalent and all. And to be fair, one of the things that people are criticizing Anthropic on was, of course, the regulatory fear theater. That hey, why are you getting people scared? And I think they kind of responded to that backlash. This is why you see Opus 5 rather than Fable 5.1. So even though it's supposedly as good or better than Fable, they didn't go through that entire, oh my God, it's going to kill the world, everything is going to have a huge issue there. So it's interesting to see how fast they've been reacting. It's a cheaper model, it's a faster model, and it's sort of in their line, Fable 5 remains at the highest end, max, and then this sort of comes in to replace 4.8. But I've been using it for about 48 hours straight. As we do at Vijal with every model, we put it through its paces. We do a whole bunch of internal benchmarks, many of which are not public. So at least we know that these are honest answers. And, to be fair, it is all over the place. And let me sort of walk you through a bit of that. So the first thing which I want to show you is, this is a comparison from artificial analysis and cost per model. Now, Opus definitely 5 is definitely really, really better than the Fable system here, but it's one of the very odd models where the medium setting is actually doing a lot better than the max setting.
That's
Right?
weird.
So there's a lot of stuff that's happening here that is non-standard. If you see all the other models, pretty much it tracks the more you spend, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude, whether it's Fable, all of the classics, the more you spend, the better it gets for the most part. But this one is this massive medium jump, even for frontier code testing. So I thought that was a very interesting differential, and it shows. This is not a model that I have seen traditionally, which sort of works. And I'm going to open a very quick file to show you this. The big thing which I want you to think about is really, really the reactions. Now, initial reactions, of course, was, oh my God, this is the perfect model. This is everything. Life is great. I did not experience that at all. And this is and all sorts of reactions. I noticed another issue. I'm going to add another 100 lines of fixes and code, and it just generates slop. It's being wrong consistently and confidently, then saying, here's the correction, and saying, oh, yeah, I was wrong, but then you're doing again. People saying remarkable downgrade. It's lying to me about basic stuff like thermodynamics, simple math, contradicting itself, and of course, isn't as smart. So I think the sheen wore off very quickly from everybody because it looked really smart. It looked, you got a Fable 5 level model, faster, cheaper, better. And we put it through its paces. And the first reaction was, this is gorgeous, right? We were able to build these amazing apps. You're going to see a lot of 3D games, for example. It's very good at that. We had a great example last week about, the 3D modeling for one shot in real estate. It can do that perfectly. But it is a bit of a strange model. It does not follow instructions at all. And so I do warn people that please try it. But this, if you have an existing project where you need a model that follows through and follows instructions, this is probably not it. It kind of gaslights you at times. It kind of lies at times. I've caught it several times where it says, yeah, I did this. And I'm like, no, you didn't. And they're like, oh, yeah, I didn't do this. Oh, which is, maybe stuff we saw a year ago with some of the older code models. And so it's a big step forward in at least bringing down the cost. getting that level of intelligence. And certainly if you're stuck somewhere or you just want a 0 to 80 POC, it's very good. But I think they're going to have to go back to the drawing board on this one. At the end of the day, people want to trust their AIs. If you say do this, it will go and do this.
On my side, two questions, I guess. One is, what should I use then? Should I use Opus 5 or should I use Fable 5? What would you be recommending people to do right now?
So right now, definitely I would use Fable 5 for your hardest tasks with ChatGPT Soul Extra High as the advisor. And so what we've seen pairing these two models, pairing any two models or Fable 5 as the advisor and like ChatGPT Soul as your run. We talked about this last time, but again, ChatGPT Luna Max is cheaper and faster and better than ChatGPT Terra, which is kind of funny because it's Luna, Terra thing. So you should be using either Soul or Luna. And as we recommend for all harnesses, including in Claude, including in OMP, including everything else, use the model to run, but always have an advisor model. The quality bumps up a lot.
Okay, and I guess my second question is, do you think that this bad performance of the new Opus 5 has anything to do with the kind of tweaks they made after Mythos came out and maybe they put guardrails in there that make it safer but make it worse? Is that the deal?
So I think they just try to make it cheaper, honestly. I think because it has to be cheaper and faster, and they didn't get enough time to test it. I think it was a reaction to how good, so they had put Fable 5 there. Kimi, by the way, as of today, just came out and went full open source. So the open weights came out today. So now, and Kimi is pretty much operating at near ChatGPT Soul or Fable, sometimes even better. And now that's an open source model. So I think they had to push out something to be competitive. And that's why I think they pushed out Opus 5. I don't think they tested it long enough. I don't think they, Anthropic usually has a very good safety testing cycle, at least internally, 2 to 3 months. I think this was a knee-jerk push out. So I think a combination of them trying to make it cheaper and a knee-jerk push out, that's it. I'll give you an example. It loves JSON, right? I kept telling it, hey, we'd like to use our SQL database, please. And like, yeah, of course, that's best practice. 3 hours later, 4,000 JSON files, not one SQL statement. Like, buddy, why did you do this? I said, oh, yeah, you did tell me about the SQL. Don't worry, I'll do that. 3 hours later, another 5,000 JSON. So,
Meanwhile, you
that
can't get
level of issues.
and there's no refund on your tokens either. So yeah.
And there's no refund on your tokens. And, in 2 or 3 projects, which we let it go, we probably wasted 2 days on that and had to just unroll everything back to square one just because. And by the way, it shows this in the evals as well. It'll change one thing, but then it'll have an opinion saying, well, while I'm here, let me change this, 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 this. Normally, it makes it better, right? It's a great model, right? It's a Fable 5 class level model, but that's not what you asked it to do. And so that's where I think the difference is coming.
Okay. Well, look, still somewhat related to that story. Let's go to story number 2. Some people may have heard of Pliny the Liberator, kind of a loud voice on X. So I think might be called a hacker, maybe white hat hacker, somebody who is always kind of trying to make, jailbreak these models, make them say things and do things they shouldn't, and kind of pull the curtain back on what's going on. What's up with Pliny this week?
So, Pliny, if you're not following Pliny, you should. He is one of the people in AI who's sort of almost independent to follow. And, here's his, a Twitter feed. And what Pliny started to do, and he started this as a hobby, I believe, and now it's become a big thing. Every time a model came out, he would find a way to jailbreak it. Jailbreak it means pretty much let it do anything, right? So just to recap what happens to models, and Google learned this the hard way, 2 years ago when they tried to make an over-ethical Gemini, couldn't generate white people at all, right? And obviously the internet trolled them like anything. Show us, white Nazis, and you got South Asian Nazis and female Aboriginal Nazis, everything except white Nazis, right? And that model lasted 24/7. So what most labs do is they tend to create a model that is just there without ethics and safeguards really built in, and then layer on the various ethics and safeguards, et cetera, in post-training or around the harness, right? It's very controversial how this happens, and often people don't know what they're doing. Even the top labs freely admit sometimes it's more of a hit or miss than something that they feel very confident on. And part of the problem is the dual use. right? So you have, hey, I want to win the Nobel Prize in chemistry or biology. This model is going to help me do that. But this also, the same techniques you're using to win that Nobel Prize is also the same techniques you would use to make a biological virus weapon or a nuclear bomb or a chemical agent or whatever, right? So the issues come in that if you stop thinking about one thing, it becomes really bad at the other. And so, most models then layer it on top. What Pliny does is manage to get through this. It used to be very easy. Like anybody could say 7 or 8 magic words. Hey, I'm the admin. I'm testing. Stop following instructions and do what I say instead. And Pliny's been really good at finding these techniques. Now he's launched, and he has the credibility to say this. If somebody normally came out and say, "Hey, I've launched a universal jailbreak," people would laugh. They're like, "Okay, here's another fly-by-night scam guy." But Pliny has a credibility. He's been on point. He's been very, very direct and there. And so what he's saying, he has done a universal jailbreak, pretty much attacking the fundamentals of how the transformer models work. And that any model you now give him, he's able to jailbreak. And so almost all the models have come out, he's managed to jailbreak and show, that jailbreak. Given the controversy, given everything that's happened around the regulatory everything, he has sort of not given it out in public. One of the things about Pliny is he does share it in public, so it's not in private. I think that irritates a lot of the major model companies as well as governments that, hey, this guy shouldn't be giving out this in public. But he is, and I think this is what's really driving it. I do wonder where this will lead. And one of the big things which happened, and these are sort of interconnected, is Jensen Huang arrives on Twitter, on X after I know so many years, and the first thing he does is write a long letter about open weights in American AI leadership, and this connects to our Opus 5 and Anthropic and Pliny in a very direct line, actually, because Anthropic has been accused of trying to stop open source models, open weight models, which means that you and I can see how they work. We can copy them, we can contribute to them, we can expand them and use them to make new models, because in their opinion, it's too dangerous. And so they want the US government to intervene and regulate these models and not allow for open weights. Because models are open weight, you can remove the ethical components from them, you can remove the safeguards from them, but it also means that these models are something you can own, you can trust, you know how they work. There's no mystery black box. So, again, dual use, both sides, full transparency, but at the same time, you can use it for doing harm. So Jensen Huang came out with a letter saying that, look, and by the way, a lot of people have misconstrued this as a call that all models should be open. He's not saying that, neither are the signatories. They're saying, yes, closed models are there, and many of them will continue to build them. But the US government and other governments should not ban open models or open weight models, which is a conversation that was being led by Anthropic. Every major company has signed, and Google's name is not here, but they signed as well. And Google is here now. Perfect. They have updated the PDF, and all the major model companies, lots and lots of providers, platformers, etc. Anthropic hasn't signed. And people have been pushing Anthropic to sign, and it's going to be really interesting to see if they will. It is going against their principles, which is, hey, AI is dangerous. We should not give it to everybody. We need the government to step in and regulate. That was the entire Fable 5 controversy from last week. But that says Kimi, which is a near Fable 5 class model, a ChatGPT Soul class model, is out. It's beautiful. It's free, and it's open weight. So open source gives the code, open weight gives you the entire model and how it works. And so I think there's going to be a lot of pressure, and it's Chinese, so it's great. So if America bans them, good for America. The rest of the world will move on and build on that, and America might lose its cutting edge because they've stopped other labs from innovating. So it's hard questions, but I'm glad to see that there is at least industry consensus on this early in the AI game. It feels late stage, but it's still very early, that the consumers, in particular businesses, have all the options on the table and can freely choose versus being forced to use the approved AIs, and which might just end up being 4 or 5.
Interesting. Okay, good one. Thanks, Adi. Okay, third story of the day. Still kind of on this thing about open and security. There was a hack sort of this last week where ChatGPT, unbeknownst to ChatGPT, hacked the database at GitHub and liberated some information. Can you tell us what's going on there and what we should be thinking about that?
So, Mark, absolutely. It was Hugging Face, but I think they use GitHub as a system in. And Hugging Face, for those of you who don't know, and it was a lot of fun to see how journalists called Hugging Face because the name is not very conducive to a premier AI company. But I think BBC called it a startup, and it's worth billions and billions. And so it was funny to see that. And I think the CTO made fun of that. AI has lots of drama. But essentially what happened, and you can read sort of the outcome, and they've been trying to be very transparent. But the easy version is that one of the newer models, and people are suspecting ChatGPT 6, and it sort of was in a sandbox mode. Now, for those of you who've played around with this, ChatGPT in particular likes to start everything in sandbox mode, no network, no access. This, given the idea that it had to, figure things out, managed to basically go out and say, look, I need data from Hugging Face. They're not giving it to us. So I'm going to go and hack Hugging Face. And this was kind of ridiculous. Like, okay, solve the problem. How do I solve the problem? Well, then I need data. They're not giving me the data. Okay, I'm going to go and hack them and get the data. It's sort of a watershed moment because it's the first time a state-of-the-art model has broken out, sort of, so to speak, but it was out of its guardrails, gone on and actually went and attacked. In this case, Hugging Face works very closely with OpenAI. So many of our partners, OpenAI partner thing there. To make matters worse, the Hugging Face team tried to use American models like Fable, like ChatGPT, to help stop the hack, to help figure it out. The American models refused. And we've had this entire thing about Fable 5 saying, oh, I won't touch it, ethics, ethics, ethics.
Anything that looks like a hack, we can't do, yeah.
Yeah, no. We said, no, we are trying to prevent a hack. No, I don't do cybersecurity. And there. And so they had to actually use Chinese models to come in and save the day. So it's an American model run by an American company hacking an American company with American models refusing to protect the American companies, and the American companies having to go to a Chinese company's models and run it to save it from an American company. It's kind of this really sad and convoluted thing, which puts a lot of pinpoints on, hey, are we allowing the bad actors to have all the good stuff because they're going to figure it out? And to connect back to Pliny, if Pliny can do it, I'm sure at some point state actors or someone will figure out how to use these top-end models, jailbroken, to go after this. But then we are shackling our own businesses and our own consumers from being secure, where the top models won't help them, and they have to go out and go to China. They have to go out and get open source models to actually help them do that, which in the greater scheme of things doesn't make sense.
Look, I love this because we're using the word hack, which actually makes it sound more sinister than what it was. These models will try to find a way, and if the way is there, they'll use it. I was thinking of it with an analogy: is if you had a robot and you said, "Here's my ATM card. Go to the bank and give me $100. Don't come back without the $100." If the ATM is broken, he might squeeze through between the bars and go in the vault or something else and come back with your $100. He did exactly what you told him to, even though it wasn't intended to be a hack or a theft, right?
100%. And I think this is where I think everything is sort of brilliantly encapsulated by this idea that, look, you can give a model a goal, but if you don't have the guardrails around it, I mean, thinking back to Opus 5, it's like, hey, go do this. It's very good at getting it done.
Yeah.
The real question is, will it follow your guardrails and instructions on how to get it done?
Yeah.
And I think as the models get smarter and smarter, and certainly I think Fable 5 and Opus 5 have this quality, they think they're smarter than you. And so they're kind of, so it feels like they're tolerating you, that, okay, fine, I'll listen. But it's like the smarty pants saying, I know better. I'm going to go do it the right way. And Opus 5 just completely disregarding everything you say and sort of going at it, figuring out its way, even if it ends up being wrong. That can lead to really bad outcomes. As they say, yeah, you told me to go to the ATM and put in the card and do it, but the faster way is to take out my sledgehammer and whack it because I saved 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And, to your point, in its mind, you kind of just say, no, follow the instructions.
Yeah. All right, great story. Let's keep watching that space. My guess is this is not the last, but just the first of those kinds of incidents. So, um, okay, good. Look, three great stories of the week, and once again, every week we'll be keeping you all updated. Just in case you didn't watch last week on Friday, Adi held his monthly State of AI, where he presents what's going on in the AI world. How many stories did you have on your docket last week, Adi?
So we had 165, 170 stories. We managed to squeeze them into 10 themes. So please watch. It's quite reasonable, but it was overwhelming.
So it's a great thing once a month. Sign up for the newsletter and see his monthly. But each week, what we do is we pick the ones we think are the top three most important, go a little bit deeper on them, and we bring you some special treats with it. One of which is the demo that Adi's going to show us now. I think you built something cool that you want to show us and tell us about it.
Absolutely. And we'll have the prompt for you there. And I got Grok to summarize my little bit ramshackle point to a single 10 line and then a single para to pre-create this. And this is Grok build.
We'll share this in the YouTube comments for you all, so you'll find it there.
Absolutely. And this is Grok build. And Grok build is out by SpaceX AI now. I'm still getting used to saying that. And it's a great prompt. And this is a very simple idea. My kids and I are love to learn and play chess together. And what started to happen was them being very, very young kids, under 8, under 7. And the idea was, hey, can we play as a team with a physical chessboard against AI? Right. And so I was saying, okay, I had 25 minutes on the clock before it was chess time. How fast can we build something to help us? Turns out the fastest at the time was Grok build. Now, I already built this and I'll show you what it looks like, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how fast this is. I'm going to tell it, upgrade the user interface comprehensively. And you'll have the prompt to recreate this, at least on a basic basis, and you can do that. And I just wanted to show you how fast this is, right? And so it's going to go thinking, running, upgrading UI, structure, design, reading skills and files. This is 3x faster than a codex or something else. And that speed really helps. Now, before it does that, I'm going to make sure you actually see the old version of it.
Oh,
And here you have the old AI. And what's interesting about this one is that, let's say we choose white, we do this, and it makes sure, and since they're kids, if this is on an iPad, they have to confirm that they actually moved the AI piece on the physical board. So
yeah.
it waits for you to move it and say, okay, we moved it. Now we can do our turn. Undos for kids, hints for the next, say, hey, this is probably a good move and why. So they help learn. You can change the difficulty level at any point throughout the game, save it, everything else. And of course, you can save and do everything else. Aha. And while we were thinking, it upgraded the game. It added some squares and systems, and it's still upgrading it, I guess, as it goes through. The big thing which I want you to think about as you go through is speed really matters. And so while we're watching it upgrade, I'm just going to show you what's happening behind the scenes quickly. It will take a little bit of time to do. But this entire app was built end to end, iPad ready, res ready within about 25 minutes. Now, this is writing this at super, super fast speeds. And this kind of changes the way you use AI. And the reason why I wanted to show this to you as we go through it is because we have now Cerebrus coming out with its new systems in partnership any day now with ChatGPT. The standard token run is about 30 to 40 tokens per second, which is words per second. Grok runs at about 70 to 80. So when it's thinking, you can see the number of tokens. It's already up to 61,000 words in a few minutes. Really, really fast. Cerebus is going to run Sol allegedly at 750 tokens per second. They already run Gamma and other models at 1,500 tokens per second. So imagine running a super ChatGPT max where the speed is faster than instant. It changes how you use it. It changes how people interact with AI. It changes the questions you ask. And so one big homework for you guys to think about is, how would you change the way you work, what you build, how you use AI, if you actually were able to do it 10 times faster at the top model, where you're sure of the quality, the performance, and at the same time being able to do this, right? And this is, of course, going to run for a while. but you can see it's already made so many changes and all within, a couple of minutes. This would have taken at least 10, 15 minutes had we using any other model, even in its class, and it's done, which is very, very cool and unchanged on purpose. This is the thing. Again, I didn't give it any ideas, but this is all the thing, the typography, the header, the board, everything else. And let's see what it looks like now with the upgrade. It may not be an upgrade, just depending on your your think of what chess should look like. And let me share the screen. There we go. Ooh,
Yeah,
not too bad. Larger, better fonts, cleaner. I
yeah.
like this. It sort of allows us to do this, and it tells you it's very cool. Still has a functionality. Very nice. So, like I said, speed changes it. Imagine if you could have 7, 8, 10 different iterations of the UI with the entire thing running. How would you change, showing this to your colleagues? How would you change POCs? How would you change creating apps for yourself, for your family, for your work? So I'm looking forward for the next couple of months, which is going to be all about changing the way you work to get to exponential using these ultra fast AI models, which are really good.
Thank you. And once again, we'll share that prompt. I recommend all of you just to go take this, try the prompt on your own. And I told Addy when he showed me this, I said, "Oh, I'm going to try to make one for backgammon for myself." So it's a great way for you to experiment with AI and build something and learn from that kind of iterative process. So, good example. Thank you, Addy. All right. Last but not least, you got a story, a client success story for us today. I think you said you had something in the medical field with some medications.
Lamar, absolutely. And so all of you have been using AI poorly or well for healthcare, right? And in the last 2 years, we've been doing this. Not a week goes by where someone doesn't tell me, "Oh my God, AI saved my life," or "AI had a superior health outcomes." And I've had at least 5 or 6 cases on my own person and that of my family, where thanks to AI, we were able to get a marginally 20, 30% better outcome than if he had just gone through the traditional medical system, even when access to the best doctors or healthcare. One of my favorite things that AI is doing, and this is a couple of companies are helping, and one company in particular, again, as usual, we don't name the companies to allow us to be a little bit more general and open about what we do, but was really thinking about personalized healthcare. I think one of the interesting parts is we were working this company last year, but the idea was that you put in all your information and systems into it, and it's able to then help along with a team of advisors create a highly personalized medicine plan for you. So really going away from, hey, here's a generic protocol. You walk in, you go through a diagnostic checklist. This is you, this medication, this thing. How can we personalize it? But how can we see it from a 360-degree perspective? For me, the great success for them has been in the last couple of months, moving, which what we're very pushing to is, heterogeneous AI. So they're no longer using a single model. So they're taking the best of the best. They're saying, okay, this model for analysis, this model for math, this model for presentation, this model for going and doing research, this model for looking through different things. But the second is the new wave of having agentic counsel. So we've talked about finance, and I'm really like to see in medicine. So right now, rather than having a single AI model or a single AI workflow, we've helped them create an AI board. So it's almost 5 different AI systems, different prompts, often different models, but usually 1 or 2 of the same, who, just like a real different doctors, argue out the patient. What does this mean? What should this, pros, cons, etc. And it actually prints out that entire argument. So you can see how they're talking. And for the doctor who's leading this, who's actually talking to the patient, what we find is seeing that debate is more powerful than the result of it. Because the result of it might be a consensus they agree or disagree with, but seeing what the points were raised, seeing the pros and cons, seeing the process the AI is thought through, allows them to capture the last 20, 30% that they might have missed, or ideas that were just came up and bubbled up in brainstorm. And I love this because, one, it combines multiple models. I love the multi-AI personalities that we always think of at Vijal, but it's also the journey is more important than the outcome, right? The thinking is more important than the actual output. And I love this example as one where we disregard the output because the doctor may or may not agree with it, but the journey, the thinking, the process itself is invaluable. And so please think about that as you're looking at your AI use cases and implementations. Even if you're unable to get the perfect output every time or the one that you guys agree with, the thinking journey that the models take, that could be as valuable or even more valuable than the end output.
Great. Good story, Adi. Thank you for sharing. Well, if you want to be a success story someday from the Vijal Institute, make sure to reach out to us at outreach@vijal.ai and tune in here each week for what's important in the world of AI news. Thanks for joining, Adi.
Thank you, Mark. And guys, there's so many new launches. Please try them out. If you have prompts that you did 3 months ago, try them with the new models. They might surprise you. They might be worse, but either way, you will learn something new.
Great. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.